even worse.
It should
Black
be
on
recording.
It was recording already, I think. Just double check. Yeah, this meeting is being recorded.
Perfect. Okay, so welcome back, everybody, and welcome back to Massimo. Nice to have you back.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mass. It's been a little bit of a we've missed you for the last two sessions, so we're quite glad to have you back with all of your super knowledge.
Oh, thank you.
So let's get firing away. I'm just going to share my screen. Let's share here. And
That's the last one.
this is the Dior one.
The duo. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So illustrating Dior, lovely Massimo. And I guess before we start, Mass, you usually give us a little bit of what's happening in the world of Dior and a little bit of history.
Sure. So, hi everyone, great to be back. Apologies for not being there the last few sessions. So Dior tonight, I'm excited to see this. What can we say about this iconic brand? Obviously, it revolutionized fashion in 1947 with what we all know is the new look. For 15 years, Christian Dior was at the helm of his empire. But in that short time, unfortunately, he died quite young of a heart attack. But in those 15 years, he managed to create a very, very strong legacy. It's something he created very strong legacy, very strong house codes, brand codes, which are still super relevant today. And we can see how each designer after him has sort of maintained these codes, but interpreted them in a more contemporary way. After his passing, 21-year-old Yves Saint Laurent became the creative director, which actually brought the brand sort of to a younger audience, to a new audience. Saint Laurent was only there for a short time, very, very short time, because then he had to leave for the military. But it's important in fashion history as well because his tenure at Dior helped him to launch his brand, which became super successful afterwards. We all know it. And then after that, we've had a succession of designers, each one giving their contribution. I don't know if you know all of them. There's seven in total. We had after Yves Saint Laurent, there was Mark Bohan, who was there for almost 30 years. But the thing is, he's sort of the underrated or the underestimated one because he was quite quiet, but he really maintained the house relevant for those 30 decades. After Mark Bohan, we had Gianfranco Ferré, an Italian who was there as well. Gianfranco Ferré, for me, is also one of those unsung Italian heroes. He was huge in the 80s and 90s. He was an architect before. So what he brought to his own brand, also to Dior, was a super structured and architectural couture. And he won quite a few prizes for his couture collection. So if you ever can, please look up Gianfranco Ferré. He was, like I said, an architect, and he was really focusing on shirting as well. So you get these amazing photographs where he x-rayed his shirts. It's great visuals if you ever have to do mood boards. And then, after Ferrer, I think we had the most opulent of designers. We had Galliano there. And again, Galliano, I mean, he's so theatrical. He brought this sort of this historically inspired designs. He really looked at everything and really experimented with a lot. And his collections were really something that everybody desired and wanted to see because they were so, theatrical. And we can see that now with Galliano. Well, he just left, but also he brought that again to Margiela, the sort of theatricality of him. After Galliano, so we had this maximalism with Galliano and this opulence of Dior, of Ferrer. And then we had Raf Simons. Raf Simons was only there for about close to 3 years, just over 3 years. And, Raf Simons was also, again, a bit of wow, bringing someone like him. His super minimalism, but he really brought, again, this modernity to the brand. He focused much more on innovation, playing with textiles. He focused a lot more on the clean line. So really putting in evidence the brand codes, the house codes. It was really great. I think in the period with Raf Simons, his first show was absolutely amazing. I think that's the one that sticks out, where he found this old Hotel Particulier, and each room was filled with flowers. It was absolutely beautiful to see. I would recommend also to watch the movie Dior and I, which is a documentary about Raf Simons' time at Dior. It's absolutely stunning. It's a behind the scenes, and then after Raf Simons, when he left, he actually left, and if you watch the documentary, you'll see it. It was quite. It was, the pressure in the fashion industry of creating couture collections, of creating ready-to-wear collections. You almost end up doing 12 collections a year. It takes its toll mentally, and it was in a time before we spoke about mental health. Well, we did speak about it, but it wasn't as prominent as it is now. But I definitely recommend to take a look because there's some scenes which will be great to draw from as well. And then after he left, we have the current creative director, who's Maria Grazia Chiuri, the first woman to actually be at the head of Dior. So in its history, she's the first woman that's there. She's been there since 2016. Um, and what she brought was really this emphasis on heritage, this emphasis on craftsmanship, feminism as well. So she's very important. She's very important for that. And when we talk about craft, it's the fact she works a lot with India, working with a woman, actually, woman factories in India who focus on embroidery. So that's really good. Also, she had one of her first collections, she had a T-shirt with "We should all be feminists" printed on, and it became this iconic T-shirt, a fashion moment. But something that I like about Maria Grazia Chiuri, and again, not everyone knows about it, but she works a lot with female artists. Judy Chicago, and all different types of female artists. So definitely take a look at her. There's also a very, very great documentary. It's actually on YouTube. If I find it, I'll put it in the chat, which speaks about Maria Grazia Chiuri working with female artists and the relationship and how they actually are designing the collections together, how she takes their illustrations, how she takes their designs. So especially for you guys, for Fida participants and members, I really recommend you take a look at this. And that's what I'm saying. It's a bit unfair because people, we're all great at criticizing others, but she doesn't really get much credit for how she works with these artists. And it's something so beautiful to see. The future of Dior, we don't know yet. On the other side is the menswear. Kim Jones was there for menswear. Eddie Slimane was the person who brought it to main attention. We then had Chris Banash. Uh, then we had, Kim Jones now, but he's gone. So there's this big question mark that's hanging over what's happening to Dior, especially since we've noticed that Jonathan Anderson has left Loewe. And so we all there's this whisper going around Paris. Is she going to leave? Is she going to stay? Is Jonathan going or not? So we've got no idea what is happening next with Dior, but we do know that whatever happens, it will always be a very important brand to follow, and definitely that it will be, someone will come along and really create some more iconic moments for us with the brand. And now I leave it to the design, to the illustrators, because that's what we're here for. So let's take a
Okay.
look at their designs.
So I don't think Tracy's on here. I'm just going to have a check to see who's here. No, I don't think she's here. But we started with Tracy, a sort of watercolor drawing. Tracy did a lot of backstage for us. Sorry. She did a lot of backstage for us at London Fashion Week. And I guess she's getting to this sort of immediate mixed with watercolor drawing, pencil mark making. So it's quite nice to see her continue. I mean, and she's constantly drawing and moving into oil paints. I guess from my perspective, it's nice to see Tracy's move forward. And I like these sort of almost like sketches. I like this backstage approach to working. I think it really works for Tracy. So, I'm a big fan of Tracy now, and I think she's starting to really pole vault forward. Um, I think from a next step, I saw she's doing oil painting, and I think that might be a nice brave move. But keeping these sketchbooks and notebooks always on the move, I think is just as powerful.
Yeah. I think I forgot to mention, Pat. I mean, one of the most important illustrators that Dior as a brand collaborated with was René Gros, which created the most iconic images, especially for like their fragrances and beauty, you know. And I know that you and I, well, I know I do always quote him a lot during these sessions because I just love the way he's got the unfinished lines or just maybe outlines one section of the illustration. He's someone who really worked a lot with Dior.
And Christian Dior was going to be an illustrator,
Yeah.
and he decided to become a designer. They were both illustrators.
He had a gallery before he became a couturier.
So it just shows you
So
the switch from
art is
artist
always
to
there.
designer. Anyway, good. I think Tracy's really nice. Well done, Tracy. Keep up these drawings and a really comprehensive piece. I've put Tameo near the beginning because I know she's Tameo. I keep calling her Tameo. Tameo. I put Tameo at the beginning because I know she's in Japan. And I thought these were the three that really grasped me. And I think that sort of fast drawing line. Um, and I think for me that you've kept that sort of energy going, and these were the ones that I felt were most spontaneous and captured the image in the best way possible. I don't know what you feel, Mass.
Already, Tamayo, do you wanna? I love that it's just all solid black. You know, it's like this dramatic feel to it. Also, the way she's turned and the hand on her mouth. You know, there's something really nice, and you can really feel the movement in the one on the top left. But I would like to hear from Tamiyo, who, God bless, thank you so much because it is extremely late in Japan. So I really appreciate you being here. Maybe
Oh.
you can explain a bit more about why you chose these and the style.
Uh, Actually, I chose this, but I chose to focus in one thing. Yeah, the dress that Merlin she wore at the probably her last photograph session. So I just did a series of, just based on one thing, and I just did quick sketches.
Nice. I like it. It's
Yeah,
almost like
great.
this, now that you mention it, we can see it's almost like, when you see those photographic, the old school sheets of what the photographers had, and then they like circle the pictures that they want to use. So
Yeah.
it's not like that. You got like two iconic moments, Marilyn in a Dior dress in the 60s.
And it's,
Yeah,
it's
it
nice
was
from the
only.
back. It's the back shot's really nice. The way you've left it. We don't need them elements. And I think you've sort of nailed this one. And recently I've been looking at William Kentridge. You must know William Kentridge, Mass,
Yes, yes,
the
yes.
animator. And we keep talking to you about animation, Tamio, and I think. Uh, when I was looking at some of your animations today and at the past, have a look at William Kentridge. Either draw on top with light marks and almost do more stop frame rather than like moving and using. So I think we've kind of got to a point now with these GIF animations, but I feel that you're now going to have to tackle real movement and make these sort of move, which is a combination of William Kentridge who leaves remnants as he makes small marks when he animates the bodies. And I feel that have a look because I think it will keep that sort of dreamy line work, and I feel that will be a really nice added bonus. So you're going to have to either look through lots of the photography and see if you could kind of patch them together as an animation, and then illustrate and then draw as a stop frame. And you could do some just small movements like the head turning and the body moving and the hand moving, which is very complex. and it might take a long time, but I think it would be really nice and beautiful to see more of a crafted version of an animation rather than a computer generated one. So that I think that's the movement forward now, Tamio.
It's true because I think in the past Tamiya did have some animations, if I remember right.
Yes, but they tended to be like um, fading from one scene to another,
Yeah.
or moving things along. I think they need to have sort of like a stop frame where it actually starts, it moves, it feels like they're moving, like as if a bird was flying or something. I
Mm.
think we need them real movements, almost Disney-esque animation where they do the early stop frame.
Rotoscoping kind of thing.
Well, it's kind of stop frame, rotoscoping or whatever you want to call it, but it's a case of getting that. I want that figure to actually move rather than it going from one scenario to another. It moves. So I feel that that's going to be your biggest challenge now because you're not, you're doing all of these brushwork marks, but I have seen uh, even Scott Mason, who's done some illustrations. Have you seen his of what he's doing? And he shows these hundreds of little drawings. I feel that you're going to have to tread into that area. So I think you've got a big challenge on now.
I'll have a look.
Have a
Yeah.
look. If not, I'll show you. But William Kentridge is definitely one to look at. And I know a lot of the Japanese animators are really worth looking at as well. I'm trying to remember Spirited Away, that
Oh,
sort
yeah,
of
yeah.
animation. So I feel have a good look, Tamio. I think there's a space now for you to move them and not and push that computer away a bit again.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, good, excellent. But lovely, really beautiful drawings. Well done.
Thank you.
Susanna Gomez. I don't think she's here, but a really nice piece. Quite graphic. I'm assuming it's done on an iPad, and it's nice
Yeah.
this sort of combination of digital and sort of graphic mark making and sort of pencil lines. I don't know if you necessarily need some of these little circular lines; they could be gone, but these like heavy block colors. Maybe look at more about printmaking and screen printing. Could be nice, and I
Yeah.
feel that like where does this go next? That's my sort of question for me. What do
Yeah.
you think, Mass?
I think so. I think she's definitely got a style, a technique going on. Uh, my only yeah, I think like you mentioned, you see like the eyeshadow, the cheeks, I don't know, there's too much. Maybe she doesn't need the circles of the cheeks, and she could have focused on or eliminated something because there's a lot going on. But my question also is, we're looking at your like so Tamayo before, she had Marilyn, there was a connection with the brand and you can see here it could almost be anyone, so where's the Diorness over
Yep,
here? And
yep.
also, so she's not here to explain. So maybe if she had explained, it would make more sense. But then, are we looking at your makeup? Is like what aspect of Dior are we looking at here? So I'm just saying, great style. She's got a technique which is good, and she can develop further. But in terms of brief, how does it connect with Dior? I'm missing the Dior connection.
Yeah, and I think that's a big factor that a lot of brands look for is does this really connect with a Dior
Yeah,
DNA, Dior structure? So when if you're going to work for a brand like that, does it have the essence of that? Does it have the sort of the family unit? So just think about Dior as a brand, and maybe these more iconic moments are something that we should capture.
well, also, if you wanted to, yeah, like here, you see, this is actually.
So Jana, I don't know if Jana's here. No. So Jana, I think these ones are what you're talking about, Mass. Like really these big volumes, the silhouettes, the watercolor line work. I think
Yeah.
the one on the right, the figurative one, I think really sort of works for me. I'm
Yeah,
just
it's
trying
very old
to.
school. It's like this like 50s uh and what was that movie? Oh man, it came out a couple of years ago. Mrs. Something Comes to Paris.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah. I'm,
no,
I'm
I don't know
trying
what
to.
it's called. But
But
it's
that
really,
sort of watercolor quick mark,
yeah,
and I
yeah.
quite like them the white pen line drawing. It has a sort of old school Dior-esque almost. it's scribed into the mark making. I think that's quite nice. I
Ah,
definitely prefer the one on the right, the figurative one. I
yeah,
don't mind the bottles, but I think the composition's better.
yeah. Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. That's what it's called.
Oh yes, yes, yes. I
It's
think there's
actually
one.
really, really good, with the whole couture. And so when I look at the illustration on the right, it reminds me of that because of course it was like set in the mid to late 50s, and it was really cool. Now that I see Miss Dior over there, Miss Dior, I'm connecting it to Maria Grazia Chiuri. It's all about feminism. We just discovered and we just found, and there's a book that came out about Miss Dior. So Miss Dior was a perfume created for that Christian Dior created for his sister. And actually, his sister was someone very, very important during World War II in France, and she was actually helping a lot. So she has this fascinating, fascinating story about woman's strength and power, which is really great. So if you have the opportunity to read her biography or the biography about her, I would definitely recommend it. And again, so that's why also Maria Grazia Chiuri really is focusing on this. So it's also part of the DNA of the brand.
Yeah, good.
Then we've got the iconic saddlebag over there as well.
Yeah. Let me just and then Deleta. I'm not too sure if Deleta's here. She's not. And she's had a different combination of styles. I think she's experimenting with these more bigger graphic marks. I think these are more youthful and more sort of graffiti-esque.
Yeah,
Could be heading more towards, I guess, Louis Vuitton, Stephen Sprouse
yeah, yeah, yeah.
direction. So just be aware of the other codes of the other brands because you're kind of moving over to them. So even just from mark making, consider what have other brands done? How do they work? Where I think Dior is more about the craft and the artisan, where Louis Vuitton could be more, a more graffiti, more graphic. So just
Yeah.
be aware of that. I think the one on the left, if we think of I'm trying to remember his name, the illustrator or the artist who worked with Christian Dior Men's. Can you remember him, Mass? I don't know what was his
Rouen?
name. There was a painter. He does these sort of graphic illustrations, and it's very similar to this one on the left with the shades, with the cross hatching. He does these sort. I'm trying to remember his name, and I've got his book. He did a load of work with Kim Jones, and he was a well-known illustrator. But I'll try and remember as we go along, and I'll pick out the name. But that's more in style with the menswear stuff, where he was using illustrators and artists. And just be aware of the diff. I think here is the codes. What are the codes of the brand, and how do they sort of work? But I don't know what you feel, Mass.
Are you talking about Sean Stussy?
No, not Stussy. There was another guy, Raymond Pettibon.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember that, but I'm a big fan of Raymond Pettibon. He's a really interesting. Have a look at the Dior Raymond Pettibon.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yes. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
really nice graphic illustration, and he embroidered them on the garments. So I
Maybe
think the
that
one on the
maybe
left sort of has that.
maybe that's what she was looking at.
Yes,
It was
I'm
it
not too
was
sure.
menswear, so I don't know, but I mean.
Yeah, but I guess that sort of graphic cartoony feel sort of works on there. And I think the other one is the marks are a bit too big and heavy, and sort of I feel they're more. They could be young Dior. I guess sort of the Miss Dior characters.
Yeah,
Maybe
Mademoiselle
maybe it's
Dior.
going
Yeah.
down that.
And then like on the left, she's got sort of, the bar jacket, which made, the silhouette of Dior. So it's there. The one on the right, yeah, I don't know. I get like this hippie feel. Maybe it's the ribbons and stuff in her hair. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but definitely I think have a look at Raymond Pettibon. I think some good inspiration there. So Delita, I'm not too sure if your inspiration did come from there, but if yes, well done. You're on the right path for that. Selma, I don't think Selma's here. Selma is experimenting and playing. So this sort of blurring of the imagery, and she's got a sort of really focusing on the face and pushing them details, and it feels very young and cool and hip. I don't know what you feel, Mass.
No, I like what does she use? The face is it to Procreate or
Procreate, I'm assuming is digital.
I love sort of the print, on the big one. I love it's so nice the way she's done it. I love also I think it's a really great illustration. I love that she's looking directly at the viewer. There's this eye contact. You sort of you can't look away from it. She's like really looking at you. It's really great. Um, I love also the one on the left. It's sort of a much more softer, much more romantic.
Yeah,
Uh, so I love the versatility that she's got.
yeah,
Really,
I
I
think
don't
that's
know.
quite played.
They're both equally strong. They both represent two different types of Dior, which is great. Um, but again, I love because even in the one on the left, I know you can't see under the fringe, but she's looking at you. So again, I love the fact how she's really, making a subject sort of really stare at you. You know.
Yeah, no, really good, and the makeup's cool as well. Like the
Yeah.
little details like that, that really cool young hip rebel makeup, and I think it's really tapping into that feminist avant-garde, and I think that's the Guerrilla Girls. It reminds me of that sort of movement. And I think it's good to kind of dip into the who is the Christian Dior girl and what does she represent? And this young feminist girl who's maybe a bit more punk, wants
Mm.
to be the protagonist. And I think she's nailed it. The character's there. And I think that's quite important for illustration as well. From a person who's drawing something, is capturing the essence. And the other one is more film-like. It's got a
Yeah.
cinematic feel to it, which is great. So Selma, excellent. And as Massimo said, the print on the garment is lovely.
It's
It looks like
beautiful.
it looks like sharpenings or
Yeah.
something. It looks really nice. So great, great stuff. And then Alexandra, I'm not too sure if Alexandra's on here. Quite new to the group, going for a more sort of fashion drawing for fashion design. So I guess this is your space, Mass. I don't know if you have any thoughts.
Uh, no, she's a very, very strong woman, this one. Uh, no, it's great. I think again, I like there's a touch, a bit reminiscent to Gruau of with the unfinished. Also, the way she's done the skin tones. I like this fact of, just outlining certain things and then really focusing on the dress because that's the important part. We're looking at Dior. I like also the way she played with the type to sort of match and balance out the illustration, the color of the dress.
Yeah, I think from a fashion design perspective, so there's
I-
there's two directions. You being a fashion designer is if it was from an Italian fashion designer, this character's too small. I think it would be a lot taller, thinner, and longer. So
Yeah,
if you were giving critical feedback, like we did a project with Peter Dundas, he was working at Cavalli and he was always talking about the elongated figure. So I
yeah,
think this figure, nine heads, this character
exactly,
feels more normal and,
exactly.
bringing in them shoulders, or this is showing the more masculine sort of woman, a bigger, stronger woman, is just to think about what does this woman represent? And if you look at Italian illustration online, go through and look at, like, I try and follow um, illustrators who work for designers. So whether they work for Gucci, how are they illustrating? What's their work like? Why did they get a job at Gucci? And I try and hunt around to try and see. We had Julia Bedoni, who's an amazing illustrator, who's very, wonderful at her work. And she goes for more of the overall illustration, where I've seen some other ones, which is more like the classic, like if it was Versace or something like that, where really long, skinny, ultra thin. You just have to be aware of these brands. And I think from a more, I guess, a sort of modern movement, just be aware what is the role of this illustration. And I think that's the point.
And
No?
it's really no, definitely you're right. If we're looking at from a fashion illustration, we need the nine heads, so this elongated figure. But on the flip side, when I go to do my live drawing classes, I think the fashion side is so embedded in me that my teacher's always like, "Oh my God, can you stop doing fashion drawing figures and like draw normal?" And I'm like, "Wait, what is normal?" You know, so it's like, so it's a flip side, you know, it's
Yes,
but
I
definitely,
guess there's a positive and negative to both.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
What is the role of the drawing? If the drawing is to capture the imagination of a fashion designer, then it becomes elongated. If it's
yeah,
to be a more figurative fine art piece, which I don't think it is because it's a catwalk, walking figure, a well beautifully rendered garment, something that would potentially be a piece that you're trying to show the design of. So I would make it longer, and you could do that in Photoshop. It's a simple fix. It isn't a case of start again. It's just liquefy, and in no matter of time you could kind of fix this figure. But I did see an interesting fact that 0.3% of fashion shows showed plus size figures this fashion week. So it's sort of an end to this plus size. I was discussing this with some of my students as well, was what's happening now to fashion. It's kind of reverting back to old school, super uber skinny. So
yeah.
maybe we're half the problem as well. Everything is ultra skinny. So
No,
I
it
don't
is.
know.
And it's that, and then another article came out about on business of fashion, you know, sort of saying, did we forget what we spoke about during COVID? You know, because we focus so much on being sustainable, being more inclusive, blah, 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 you know, and nothing's actually happening.
Yeah.
And if
And
we sort
fur's
of,
back. And fur's back.
yeah, exactly. This season especially, it's like, wow.
But I did research that fur is much more sustainable than vegan leathers. All these new materials they're mixing now with plastics, polyesters. So fur will actually biodegrade like an animal. It will go into the ground. Where faux fur doesn't, it will last forever. So sustainability wise, fur is better. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a fun fact, but it's something I saw and read, God knows where. Sarah, I don't know if Sarah's here. Sarah's not here. Quite a cool little illustration. I like this one. I think this is
Yeah.
quite fun. And here we're talking about this elongated figure. I think it's more dynamic, and it really taps into the imagination. I think this really works for Dior. You could work with.
No, it's really nice. And again, I don't know if it is done by watercolor or if it's just Procreate to with the effect of watercolor, but it's quite nice. And like I like the solid gray and then like the scribble on top, you know, to show the drapes and the folds of the dress. It's really nice.
Yeah, I
It's almost
think
like a
that's
quick
lovely.
sketch. It's almost like, you know, you're at the catwalk and you're quickly sketching with your markers, you know, to capture what is on the runway.
Yeah,
Like they used to do
lovely.
old school.
Yeah, really cool, really cool. And this would be great to show a collection happening, and
Yeah,
we'd love to see a series. I'd want to see a series. I think more of these would really give us an understanding of what you're trying to convey as a narrative. Like, what the story you're saying? Is it a scene? Is it a moment? What is it? Is it the fashion show? So good work, Sarah. Well done. Thank you. Shririn, I think I can see Shririn here, and I'm not too sure because you're new. I'm
we
not.
have the nine
You
heads.
can. Hello. Welcome. You're new to the gang. I think you can kind of hear us. But yes. Mass, you know these collections as much as I do, so I don't. These sort of work more from a fashion perspective, as a
Absolutely.
fashion designer. I think if I was, we were lecturing fashion design students, these are the perfect
Yes.
sort of examples. So, what's your background, Shirin?
Um, like I'm from Uzbekistan.
Hello.
Um, and I study in the University of Sunderland. And now I'm here in Sunderland because of exchange program.
Okay.
And I have heard about this competition, and I really liked to take part in this competition as I'm really interested in illustrations. Actually, I'm fashion designer, but
There we go.
I really love illustrations. Like I love doing illustrations, especially fashion illustrations.
Good.
And that's it.
Well, welcome.
Thank
Well,
you.
welcome. And how's it going in Sunderland?
Oh, I love this place. It's really peaceful and like near the sea. Uh, I like that here is really peaceful.
Ah, good, good. And I guess from a fashion design perspective, I know heading up north to well, we got if you think of Newcastle, Sunderland, even the Midlands, Nottingham, they're really strong in fashion. So in the UK now, we're noticing the Midlands to the north and Leeds as well has become really powerful in the sort of universities of fashion. So it's good to hear you going to Sunderland. It's a really
Yeah.
good comprehensive university. So from our perspective, these are great from a fashion design perspective, and I think they really work if you're covering the collection. And I can see they're hand drawn, which is nice as well. So it's good to see this. And I think you obviously show because you've got this. It reminds us of the nine head um,
Yeah.
template. I think that's what it reminds me.
I
Yeah.
Yeah, I think yes, from as sort of a fashion student or fashion design to do your collections, I think it's great. You've definitely got the bases. I think what you can do now is really maybe experiment a different way, because this is great. This just say for your day job as a fashion designer. But if you wanna, like now you've got these skills, how can you maybe push yourself to create a different type of style that's for illustration?
Mm-hmm. You
What I
mean
was
like
looking for.
experiment with media, like make
Yeah,
something with ink?
experiment with media, maybe play with different types of proportions. It's like I just mentioned before, when I go for my live drawing classes, I'm too fashion. They keep saying to me, stop being so fashion. Like really, we've got the skills, but it's so embedded in us to design with the nine heads that it becomes almost difficult to try find a different type of style. So try push like this is great for fashion illustrations, like to literally show your collection as a designer. But as an illustrator, play around a bit more. Maybe explore different types of proportions. Maybe look at some. There were amazing illustrators from the 2000s that I know Pat and I we've mentioned before in previous calls. You can look at them from references. Maybe you make the head bigger, or the proportions a bit smaller. Like really try and play around a bit. But
Mm-hmm.
the one on the left is really, really great.
Yeah, good. Keep going, Shirin, and I think they're really nice. The illustrations are good for design. We're just thinking about maybe cropping in and doing more close-ups,
Yeah.
testing on three-quarter figures, and play with multiple media as well. But it's good to see you drawing by hand, which is really nice, and using watercolors as well.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well done.
What did
Good
you, what
stuff.
did, what did you use to draw those, to illustrate?
What?
What medium did you use?
Yeah, it's watercolor.
Watercolor.
Watercolor. Wow, nice.
Good.
I
Really
had
nice.
like I had more illustrations. I have sent 5 illustrations. Like you choose between five of these two, right?
These were the two best ones.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for
Okay.
your feedback.
Banu, I can see Banu's on here. Hello, Banu.
I
She came on and went off. But I think the reason I picked this, I think the one on the right, it had a really nice feel to it, and I thought I liked the florals. I thought the flowers were really interesting on this one, and like Tamio, you've taken on the back. The other one was for me one. They were all quite similar in the faces and stuff like that, so very figurative. But the one on the right was I thought was the most illustrative, and I think it was the one that this could potentially be something in a pop-up shop for Christian Dior as a part of a screen or a backdrop talking about I don't know, hair products or something like that. So I'm thinking from an advertising point of view, this bigger one sort of worked for me, and then big flowers are really nice, and I don't know how you did them. I'm assuming they were all done via Procreate.
digital Photoshop.
Nice.
Photoshop. Okay,
Photoshop, yes.
good. And you did all the rendering of the flowers are yours as well.
I did it all on the digital.
Nice. Okay. And do you experiment with hand drawing as well, or you
Uh,
mainly only work digital?
Not for this project. I just started with drawings, with
Yeah.
the pencil drawings, and then I trace on the digital.
Okay. And you're using a tablet,
I have a Wacom
like
tablet,
a
yeah,
tablet.
free pen.
Ah, good. Okay. So I think the back image is nicer. Also, Banu, what I can tell you is the one of this back shot where you've drawn the profile of the head, you've allowed it to be the color of skin, where on the other one you've actually drawn around it with a pencil. So I think allow it to be no like take that pencil line away, and I think
Yeah.
it's much more subtle rather
Mhm.
than when you do that pencil line around the outside of that head, it makes it look like it's been stuck on. So don't, eliminate things like that. And I think it sort of works as a whole image. I don't know what you feel, Mass.
Yeah, I think the one on the left, I think if I can see correctly, like the head and the body is a different color. So like you say, it does look like it's been stuck on. No?
Yeah.
No, I love, and also something you pointed out, about Banu and Tamio is the back, and it's true. I love the focus on the back, and I agree with you. I struggle getting my students to design the back of the outfits. They kind of, it's always like this. They forget that people walk behind us and actually see what we look like from behind. And
Indeed.
it was a great exhibition. So if you guys, like Tamio and Banu, if you're really interested, there was a great exhibition here in Paris, which was all about the back side of dresses. So they just exposed outfits from the back. And there's amazing detailing. So if you are interested in looking at the back, you should buy the catalog of the exhibition. There's amazing photographs. You can also Google them online, and you
Oh,
can play around. But it's really nice. I do agree with Patrick. The flowers are really great. The contrast with how you've done the flowers and the illustration. And I love sort of this, like this fur, this black fur that's coming off, contrasting with like the solid color of the skin and then the lightness of the fur of the dress. Really beautiful.
thank you very much. I got the idea, the flowers from a catwalk actually, because on the 2025 catwalk, there was a tapestry on the wall.
Ah,
So
nice.
it catch my eye when I was watching the catwalk. So I just get the inspiration from there.
Good.
Wow.
They're really nice, them flowers. And I think to a lot of the illustrators on here, we just had another project with Ungaro. They're doing another collection with one of the members for the autumn winter 25. And they're doing it all on florals. So doing lots of prints, lots of people are looking at us now for prints for garments, like floral printing.
Yes.
Um, so I think these flowers, I'd love to see a series of them and
Mhm.
and showcase them and share them online. Just of the prints of the flowers. I'd love to see more.
Yeah, because it is a digital. I am also experimenting with the different colors as well. So
Yes, I love the colors. I think they're really vibrant and I think they're really cool. There's a really good painter called Nicholas Party, and he's a well-known painter, and he paints flowers and trees and plants and even, looking at Hockney, what he does, how he's working with trees and fauvism. So I think have a little play with drawing some of the plants because I feel there's a real area here for you, and your colours are quite playful and really vivid. So
mm,
that's definitely a place, Banu. I'd like to see some big flowers. They're good.
thank you very much.
Good.
Thank you,
Well done.
guys. Thank you.
Hamida. I don't know if Hamida's on here. I don't think Hamida is. I think Hamida's got Battle of Versailles in there somehow, but go arcing back. But there's a sort of a ghostly feel to this. I'm trying to think who, like a painter or who paints a ghost. There's a lady I follow called Robin Francis Williams, I think her name is, and she's just done a painting about this monster that looks like Siri. It has it like Chrysophily, even Chrysophily. Philly's done these black paintings of just in black and sort of silhouettes. But I like this white on white. That's very UMass.
Yeah.
The
The
white
Venus
on white.
the Venus dress of 1949-50 collection. Really beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think there's something interesting here. Almost ephemeral. There's something quite like even the clouds.
That's
This
the
like
thing, because the dress is called the Venus. It's called after Juno, the god, the Greek god. So there is that there, which is quite nice.
it's nice. Hamid, they're lovely. I think there's something almost really arty and painterly. The only thing that I think you didn't need is the Battle of Versailles. We didn't need that text. I feel that the image is so beautiful and the gold around the head. Um, it is Dior. I think Dior would love this.
Also, and also she's used the blue, and navy was his favorite color. So if you notice, they don't really use black. It's a dark, dark indigo. It's a dark navy. That was his favorite color. Dior himself, Christian Dior, was very superstitious. He was into tarots and into stars. So that's why, it works really well, this, because it really captures him as a person. And also, Maria Grazia
Super
Curie was
nice.
I agree with you that they didn't need the Battle of Versailles there. It's almost like this logo that's unnecessary.
Yeah, you did it, and I love the moon. If that's the
Yeah,
moon with the little pointillism,
yeah.
it's almost like some sort of old.
No, I think it's really nice because the dress is about a Greek goddess, and she's putting her in this sort of celestial setting with the stars, and then again this dark, dark indigo blue. I think she's really captured all the different codes and of the brand, which is really nice.
Yeah, Hamida, excellent. Very, very nice. I think you've definitely got into
It's almost like an
something.
old school sort of poster or something like that.
Yes, yeah. There's something
Yeah.
really cool about it, which is good. And then Lisa's not here. Usually she flies in on screen somewhere in a car.
Oh, yeah,
Sorry, Patrick. I
Victoria.
think you're not sharing the screen. We are not seeing
Oh,
the anything. Sorry.
Is it not showing?
which is the last one?
No.
Oh,
Can you see the screen, Mass?
I can.
Let me
Sorry, I can't see the screen for some reason.
let me share again.
In the meantime, I've added the links
Yeah,
on
now,
the
yes.
yeah. I've added the links in
Thank
the
you.
group to certain things we spoke about. So if you guys are curious to take a look.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone else couldn't see it, but anyway, we're back.
Did you see?
Yeah, so
Maybe just quickly go back to the previous one for Timmy if she didn't see it. This was the one we were talking about.
did you see this one, Tamio?
No, not that one. No.
Ah,
Yeah, you're talking
okay.
about Hamida. Yeah, I haven't seen that one. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
And then on to this one, Lisa. So with Lisa, she's done these four figures, and I think very sort of illustrative. Uh, Again, it's sort of capturing the moment, and I'm trying to. Whenever I see Lisa's work, I'm always trying to think. Sometimes she overdoes it, sometimes she underdoes it, and it's just trying to work out where she's trying to put herself in the market. Because I could kind of see this as like these look like an influencer event where you you're drawing for a live event capturing influencers, which is a very, very, very big market at the moment for all of the fashion illustration market. So I think for Lisa, for this as a case study for you drawing backstage or drawing at an event, drawing influencers, I think these are great. I think they're perfect. I think they really work for that. And that the lady with the blue outfit and the blue bag, I think is perfect. And I think it's perfect for that. And I feel that I don't know what your thought process is, and I feel they're really just really good drawings. So I don't know what your thoughts are, Mass, but that's how I'm thinking.
No, the really, I mean, the one that I really like is the one on the far right.
Yeah,
I like the way she's done it. But you're right, the one with the stripes in the Dior bag on the left is quite. It's almost like she's trying to see which style to draw the woman because each one is different.
yeah. I'm
But I
trying.
think
I'm trying to get into her imagination, but it's
but it's
almost
nice. It's like, like this pact of girl, it's like this your gang, It's quite nice.
yeah. I guess it's a very realist drawing,
Yeah.
capturing all the detailing, um, and you've just got to be aware that it doesn't become too cartoonified because
But
it
I think
can
I think
become
also,
Disney-like.
yeah, and I guess it's representing all types of your woman, so it's
Yeah,
quite.
yeah. So we have to just be aware of where you're going to put this, Lisa, because I know you're listening. Nina's here. I definitely saw Nina. And Nina's here, and she went for this sort of close up.
Hi.
Hello, Nina. Do you want to explain yourself before we give our thoughts?
Mm, yeah, I chose a dress from John Galliano. I tried to approach my more painterly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, there's not. I have not much to say about it.
So
Why did you choose Galliano?
Oh, I
You're a fan.
he creates really characters. I think that's for an illustrator. It's really great to catch this
Yeah.
vibes. Yeah, you
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah.
I
I think Nina, for me, and I'm trying to, I try and push you every time, and I'm trying to. What I really like here is, you're going with this really graphic mark making, and then there's sort of like this crushed
Wonderful to have you
velvety
here.
feel. I don't know who someone's sounds on, so I'll ask them to mute. Um, but yeah, so just this sort of like really strong pink, and there was an illustrator who we had on one of the courses, Sarah Darby. I don't know if you've seen Sarah Darby's work, but what she did when we got to this point in where we were sort of pushing the drawing was to just say, okay, I think we're getting to a point on digital, and then we were saying, now get messy and actually get paint onto paper and actually see, right, how do I do this sort of mark making? Because this could be done in pastels and this could be done with heavy acrylics, like thick acrylics. So I feel, looking at Philip Guston and people like that who do these really heavy,
Yeah.
thick impasto, and that's where I kind of see you going next is, but I love these close-up shots. I think they're quite nice. There's a person I follow called Gina Beavers. She's got kind of a funky name, and she draws pictures from Instagram and she makes them 3D. So she draws like someone doing their lips on Instagram, and she captures that drawing and she makes them 3D. I don't know if you can find her, Mass. Gina Beavers is her name, and she makes these really funky 3D uh,
Oh yeah,
drawings of Instagram posts.
like the lips and all that. No, okay.
And
Yeah,
she
yeah,
does burgers. She does
yeah.
loads of weird stuff. But imagine this, like 3D, like even molded. She uses plaster and she plaster casts it. She does all really experimental. Have a look at Gina Beavers, how far you can push your little sketches and your drawings. And even Selma, who was in this talk, she started to 3D print her drawings. So maybe message her as well and see what because she's experimenting, doing like using AI to do 3D because she doesn't know how to do 3D. So she's using AI to 3D the artwork, and then she sends it off and then 3D prints it. So there's a real experimental play here. And you could look at David Hockney's paper pulp drawings where he uses paper and does pulping. And you can, I think here we've got to a point now where I'm like, right, the colors are good, the composition's really interesting. Now, where next? And I think that's the challenge. And when we did with Sarah, she moved to the next step. She got a whole new load of commissions of work she never thought she was going to get. And I think that's the next move for you. So I feel you've got to a good point now. We need step 3. Let's move.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I love this sort of like zoomed in detail, and make them super super large, super super big. I think that's fantastic. And yeah, I think the neck, the trick would be to really try and find something really particular to focus on. But it's really beautiful. It's really really nice.
Good.
Thank you.
Well done,
Um,
Nina. Good
And also,
stuff. Good
Nina, just
stuff.
because you said you like Galliano and he, sort of these characters that he creates, I put here a link from YouTube. It's a collection he did for Margiela during COVID, but it's all his thought process, how he researched, how he, so it's just amazing to see, like you say, how he creates his characters. So if you're interested, take a look. It's really fantastic documentary to watch.
Yeah, good. Next was Valia. So Valia went for these sort of details of shoes, um, almost advertorial like. And I think Valia is really starting to step into her own little space. And I think she's starting to really create really nice, unique pieces. And they're almost, I like the still life. Um, and I'm just trying to think where would I take these next? That's the big question for anything is, okay, I've drawn this. Where's it going to go in the market? How am I going to get new work from it? And what's the objective? And I feel like, okay, could we have illustrations that could go in store? How do you showcase that? And that's where I want to think next, because I think Valier is getting to a really nice. The technique's really nice. I don't know what you feel, Mass.
I like the technique, and you know what? It gives me a bit of Linda Sterling vibes. Like the collages she used to make, where maybe she puts like these florals with the, and also maybe Nina, because you were talking about Gina Beaver with the lips. Again, maybe she can also look at sort of Linda Sterling, how she mixes,
Gina
the
Beaver.
composition stuff, focuses in. But no, no, like I do, like I'm looking now at some Linda Sterling, and I can really see some connections with what Valia is doing, and it is quite nice.
Yeah, I feel there needs that, like, because I think when you take your drawings to a certain distance, where do you keep pushing them? You got to keep pushing, and I think, like you was talking about collage, I feel it needs that extra depth to it. No, it needs that extra vibe that will lift it off the page. Because I feel that they're lovely drawings. The one on the left with the grey background, I think really works. But I think with Massimo saying is this sort of collage. Where does it go? What? How can we differentiate with stuff? And I'd be really interested to see, because this boot really on a green? Is that just a Photoshop green? Is that enough? Do we really need to paint that green? Actually paint it? And no quick answers for anything. Like, do you see what I mean? Like, people want to feel you sort of grapple with the drawing rather than, well, I'll fill it in green and it's in Photoshop. Why can't that be a really nice textured green paper? I feel that's what sort of, there's a loss of texture now. We've got really nice drawings or paintings, and I feel that I want to feel the tactility of it to come back. Like the one on the left with the watercolor backdrop. And we just have to be aware there's a big audience now of sort of watercolors and mixing real life and watercolors. How do
Yeah.
we differentiate ourselves from them and that we don't mix in with the group? So I feel that Valia, some lovely drawings here. The flowers are lovely. I think now we need to think, where is your tone of voice? And that's going to be the biggest challenge. I think the drawing you've brought up to a great standard. It's now, how does it become this is Valia? And I think
Yeah.
that's what I want to see.
No, I really like it. And I think, no, definitely like start looking at graffiti, not graffiti, like collage artists to play around, and like maybe zooming in on certain details, really playing with scale, I think is important. You
Yeah.
mentioned Hockney before, by the way. We're having a huge Hockney retrospective here in Paris from the 4th of April until the 31st of August at the Vuitton Foundation. So if you're all interested in his like 70 years, I think they're showing stuff from 55 to 2025. So it's a
Wow.
great retrospective. Can't wait for it to start.
I think Paris is now really pulling in the big shows.
And Monday, I'm going to the Grand Palais to see the Dolce Gabbana haute couture exhibition. So it's all of it's going. I'll share photos for you guys.
Yes.
It's going to be absolutely beautiful.
Cheers, Mas. And then Kazmak, I don't know if Kaz is on here. That Kaz, this sort of triptych and doing these sort of watercolor drawings. I think the really nice thing about Kaz is she's found her identity and found her look and feel. And I think what could be really cool is this reminds me of a graphic novel. It could be almost like parts of a storyboard for, imagine if these like little frames, they look like frames that could be for a, imagine if it was a Christian Dior narrative book and you're looking at all these different little moments, looking at a detail of a face, the ear, the hand, and then maybe there's another moment. And I feel that that really works nice. And this watercolor mark making is really cool. And I think there's something quite nice. Raymond Briggs, who did the snowman, you know, great illustrations.
And I have to say, Kaz, well done, because hands and fingers are not the easiest things to draw. So
Yeah,
well
good stuff. I'm getting a vibe of your work now, which is nice. So keep it up, keep doing these little detailed images, but you might have to challenge yourself with, could I continue this and look at like a little moment in time of Christian Dior, and then you could do like a little series, like for a book, a small book, which takes on yourself. One thing we have to do as creatives is we have to initiate some ideas that maybe then turn in commissions. Commissions just won't come to your front door. This is why we do this. So you can't sit around hoping. You have to keep generating ideas and new work. So I think really nice. And then Martha's not here, but yeah, you can talk about these, Mas. I've spoken plenty.
I like that she's created these posters. I really love the one on the left. Oh, they're so nice. I'm mesmerized by the colors, you know, like this blue and the orange. It's really great, the composition. The one on the left is amazing. I want to say it's a Galliano one, but I don't want to be wrong. But I love, you know, like the face, the dramatic. It is definitely Galliano. I think also with the lips, I can see the little heart.
Yeah.
No, again, like the way she's done the hair, the detailing of the hair, and then sort of the plainness of the face, but then the details around the eyes. So she's really identified certain, you know, elements to focus on. It's really beautiful. These like piercing blue eyes. I think she's got amazing attention to detail.
Yeah, she's
Like there's this amazing balance, you know, even like with the orange, with the blue, and also like the lilac with the little minty green, and then the black on the one on the left. I think they're absolutely stunning, and they would definitely work amazingly, as we've mentioned this so many times before to others, creating either like little postcards or these mini posters that can, you know, is absolutely stunning.
Yeah,
Really beautiful.
really nice, Martha. And I thought a great outcome and
Sophisticated, you know, like super sophisticated, really beautiful.
and getting better. She's slowly moving away from this sort of vector illustration to more like they look like a combination of markers mixed with paint, mixed with lots of things. So the balance here is, I would say, spot on.
No, it's really beautiful.
Really good, and with the vibe, and obviously, you know, fits into the Dior DNA of the mark making as well, and the line work. So Martha, excellent work, and you know, I think this was the last one. Yeah, so a great series, and you know, well done everyone, and Tamio, I always have to thank you because you stay up so late. Out of all of us, I don't know all the other times, but Tamio, you're always amazing
Demi,
to
what
be
time
here.
is it? Like 5 a.m.
Now, yeah, now it's 5.
Yeah, so
Morning.
we're going to let you go to bed, but you know, hopefully you'll sleep well, and always great work, and that shows the sort of passion for it. So Tamio, thank you so much, and thank you, Massimo.
Thank you, everyone. Thank
you,
you. It was
guys.
Thank
very
you, Manu.
valuable.
Thank you, and have a good evening, and we'll speak to you soon. And I can't remember which one's next, but I'm pretty sure Diane will message you all. So thank you, everybody, and thanks,
Thank you.
Mass.
Bye bye.
Ciao.
Thank
Good night.
you.
Bye bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Thank you, Mas. Thank
Bye
you.
bye. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye. Thank you.